Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. As President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin prepare for their upcoming summit in Alaska, questions remain about the future of the conflict in Ukraine. Now, with proposals under discussion and Ukrainian President Zelensky's possible involvement still uncertain, the world is watching closely. Could this meeting mark a turning point toward peace, or will it just deepen the divisions? To help us understand the complexities ahead, we're joined by Roman Waschuk, former Canadian ambassador to Ukraine. Well, and welcome to TVP World. Good to have you.
Happy to be here.
Now, Mr. Waschuk, let's start with the expectations. I mean, this is significant. On the 15th, this coming Friday, these two leaders coming together. What's your initial thought here? Will we have some kind of concrete, tangible breakthroughs, or will we just have more, well, smoke and mirrors?
I think we very well may have tangible breakthroughs, but they won't likely be good breakthroughs.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that? What do you see as something tangible? That would it be in the side of Russia gaining more, Ukraine losing? What's your takeaway here?
Well, at this point, it is Russia that is dictating the agenda. We even hear this from the U.S. administration. We finally know what Putin wants or needs. Fantastic. There seems to be zero emphasis on what the EU and Ukraine want or need. That's being reverse engineered partly through these lower level national security advisor meetings. But the framing is at the moment a Russian framing. And the rhetoric such as that from Vice President J.D. Vance saying, we're done with this conflict, is not one that suggests a robust bilateral approach.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, I mean, we know that Trump has been very mercurial in many things and many subjects. But at the same time, there had been hope that in the last particular weeks, his mind had been changing, that he would exert more pressure on Putin. Do you think that's actually happening now, or was this just another strategy employed by Putin and Trump himself?
I'd say more likely the latter. One of the problems is that attitudinally, this U.S. administration takes a might is right approach. They're about to take it today with regard to the policing of Washington, D.C., their own national capital. So it's not surprising that they revert to type and to that approach when it comes also to the resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. Any sort of nuancing gets dumped usually within a week or two through the sort of reversion to factory settings of if you're big, you get to decide what happens. Mm-hmm.
So what does that then mean for President Zelenskyy? I mean, he wasn't officially invited. We don't know if he'll make an appearance at all. Doesn't seem to be included here. And what about his statement just these last 24 hours that he will not be at all swapping any Ukrainian sovereign territory? This seems to be on the agenda what the Russians and the Americans have already touted. So what happens there?
He is drawing certain lines in the sand. The question also is countries like Poland, countries like the EU collectively, why are they on the sidelines? How have they maneuvered themselves into this situation? Ukraine is fighting this war. It has an active role. But the partners who said, we stand with Ukraine, what does that mean?
Well, indeed, what does it mean? But at the same time, I think as you said and put it, the sidelining of the Europeans is not of their own making. Or perhaps it is, but they're also not present, not being listened to. And I guess the big question we've been asking as well, what does that mean for the future and security guarantees as well? I mean, the Russians have said they don't want that. But, I mean, who is going to be guaranteeing any sort of deal? I mean, we're speculating here, but tell us your thoughts on that.
I think Europeans and frankly Canadians have been part of this problem too, suffer from learned helplessness. They have persuaded themselves that they can't do anything without the Americans. All these Europeans with thousands of airplanes, hundreds of thousands of troops seem to be incapable of deploying anything, whether in the air or on the ground. without waiting for U.S. backing. U.S. backing is not happening. It is not an option. And by defaulting to that approach, that's how the Europeans, Canadians, and others have sidelined themselves. And so it's a bit sad, as myself, as someone who's worked on Euro-Atlantic relations for decades, to see this to see this sort of flailing around. It also shows that concentrated political will, whether it is in Washington or in Moscow, counts for more, even if it's physically less powerful in the case of Russia, than diffuse, endless consultations, which is what characterizes many middle-sized countries and the EU.
Mm-hmm. You said that Europe needs to take that, and you said earlier might is right. At least that's perspective of some of these powers involved here. So, I mean, what could Europe potentially now do more of that it would send a stronger signal? I mean, should they unilaterally then just deploy their troops? I mean, that's not really very realistic. So what more can Europe at this point do to be taken more seriously on this front?
Well, you may recall there were these banners up behind leaders called Coalition of the Willing. One might ask, what were they actually willing to do? Maybe some of that will could be found between now and Friday. That doesn't mean immediately deploying troops, no, but it means being willing to play a more proactive role, having a stake in all of this, being willing to be anything other than completely risk averse. The American leader, the Russian leader are people who are willing to take risks. Others apparently are not, and therefore the whole willing bit seems to be there on the screen, but it doesn't. We see little trace of it in real life.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I mean, point taken, but at the same time, I mean, the Europeans will have their own call, I believe. I think it's going to be via video call even today. Let's see if that turns into anything more tangible. Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. But I want to ask you also about a big factor here will be personality. I mean, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, these are two powerful, egotistical men. They will come together. What do you sense there? Will there be positive chemistry, or will there be more rivalry? I mean, especially what's happened the last few days with Trump snatching peace and victory really from the neighborhood of Putin himself, brokering that deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So how are these two men coming together? How much will personality play a factor in any kind of talks?
I think obviously personal chemistry will matter. Back 6-7 years ago in Helsinki, it was good. We'll see how it is this Friday. But also money matters. You will have noticed the social media messaging from Kirill Dmitriev, the head of the Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund, saying Arctic, multi-billion investment, this is the future. I think the Russians have looked at what current American policy in the Gulf, the Persian Gulf, looks like. They've looked at the kind of trade deals the U.S. has been striking, where just pay us hundreds of billions, or at least pretend to pay us hundreds of billions, and we're happy. So I think you will also then see an economic component to what the Russians are trying to do, quite apart from Mr. Putin's personal charm.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned also money matters. I'm just curious, what do you think? I mean, in recent days, we've had more talk of, let's say, oil sanctions. We had a lot of, let's say, loud statements, but the United States never really carried out any of those threats against Russia. Putin is quite keen on rolling back some of those sanctions, especially from the U.S. and Europe. How much is that going to be a factor here? Will, at the end of this meeting, anything come out of that? Will that be rolled back in any way? What do you make of it?
I think that's certainly what the Russians would like to see. Their economy has not been doing well, not enough to stop them from what they're doing. Because Putin is quite fanatical about what he's doing, but the economic situation is not getting better. On the other hand, the Russians are coming with a very well-oiled and synchronized team. Whereas Team USA has fired many of the people with regional expertise and is relying on people who they hope are talented amateurs to make this work. And so there is an imbalance in the decades of both diplomatic and intelligence service professionalism on the Russian side, and the rather more improv team on the U.S. side.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it sounds like it's going to be quite a precarious summit. We'll see what comes out of it, but whatever it will be, one for the history books for sure. Look, we'll close it there. Thank you so much for all your expertise inside. Roman Waschuk there, former Canadian ambassador to Ukraine. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for watching, but stay tuned. Much more coming up right here on TVP World, so don't go away. Goodbye.